The time has come for yet another episode of free Random Roblox Games. I hope none of you guys took that free Random Sisyphus Games video seriously because this series is here to stay. Anyways, it's been quite a while since the last episode of this series, which was the spooky edition from back in October, which was nearly 6 months ago now. Like always, I should quickly state the rules of free Random Roblox Games for any newcomers who may be watching this video. Rule number 1. I cannot cover any games I've previously covered on this channel or in this series, so that means nothing like Vampire Hunter's free Untitled Tag Game or Find Everything. Rule number 2. I'm allowed to cover games that are popular, but nothing crazy popular such as Murder Mystery 2, Adopt Me, or Phantom Forces. Rule number 3. Unless the differences are extremely large, I'm not allowed to cover modded versions of games such as Foot Escape 2 Custom Maps or Parkour Modded. Now these last two things aren't really rules, but they're something you should keep in your head. Not every game used as background footage is guaranteed to appear in an episode of free Random Roblox Games, and they could perhaps never appear in the entirety of a series. Next, there may be certain special episodes that contradict the established rules. For example, if I made something like free Random Revisited Roblox Games, or free Random Roblox Games Popular Edition, they'd be considered exceptions due to them being special episodes. But this doesn't apply to all special episodes, so a theoretical free Random Popular Game still has to abide by rules 1 and 3. I probably just decreased this video's watch time by 100%, but I had to get those out of the way for the newcomers. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, a like and comment would be highly appreciated. Now, that's enough of my rambling. Let's get this video started. The first game of this video is one that was pretty popular a few years ago, that being Robot 64, which is a platformer very clearly based off of Super Mario 64. Despite that, it has enough original elements to be worth covering, hence its inclusion in this video. For the zero of you who are unfamiliar with Super Mario 64 and thus require me to explain what Robot 64 is about, then allow me to explain. Robot 64 is a 3D collectathon platformer where you play as a silly little robot who collects candy and is looking for the main collectible of the game, ice cream. Specifically, he's looking for ice cream so he can destroy the sun, which would likely cause unprecedented damage to the earth, but whatever. To get ice cream, you have to run around various open worlds which can be accessed by diving into computer screens in the hub world. You can acquire ice cream by doing stuff in the various worlds available to you, like racing some rabbit to a flagpole or harassing a old job. The worlds are decently varied, though this game does have the obligatory bomb on battlefield clone and generic lava land, but they're still pretty fun to explore, so it doesn't really matter. There's also various sub-levels scattered around the worlds, like where the fuck am I? Oh, no. I will not be talking about Robot 64's sub-levels in this video. You're equipped with various moves to help you traverse the worlds you'll be exploring, such as a dive, wall jump, long jump, double jump, and a twirl, which doubles as your attack move. The platforming is pretty nice. It doesn't feel particularly clunky or anything, except for the jetpack. Trust me when I say that the jetpack wasn't designed with precise movement in mind. You might have noticed me mention that the twirl can be used as an attack. Yes, this game has combat. Enemies are scattered around some areas of each map, but you can really just ignore them a lot of the time. There's some interesting ones, like the guards at Naughty's Resort that can run at a ridiculous pace if you stay in their aggro range for long enough. And there's also bosses in this game. There's really only a handful though, like Naughty, the owner of Naughty's Resort, or the leader of the Hecklands. They have pretty fun yet basic boss fights. All of them are able to be beaten on your very first try. Another thing this game has is charming character. It's clear that a lot of care was put into the game, and there's tons of silly dialogue for you to find and read. I'm already repeating everything I said in the Find Everything review, so I'll hurry up. The game is quite short, able to be beaten in about 3 to 5 hours, but it's a pretty fun game that's worth playing. It's not particularly groundbreaking, but if you're looking for something unique and fun, then this game is worth trying out. Now let's move on to the next game of this episode. Now for the second game of this video, Temple Thieves. Temple Thieves is the game where you delve into various temples to steal 5 relics, each guarded by a gauntlet of dangerous obstacles you have to avoid. Once you get enough relics, you make your way to the exit and escape while also making sure of the timer. Once you join the game, you'll spawn into a hub world where you can buy from various shops. However, this game kind of has a moderate case of mobile game monetization syndrome, with daily rewards, having to buy keys, which are used to open chests at the end of each room in a temple. The higher the rarity, the more keys you need, and you have to wait 1 minute when upgrading, which can be skipped by paying a certain amount of diamonds, the game's premium currency. You can buy pets, which don't really do anything, and you can unlock more by simply leveling up. In front of you are 3 difficulties for you to join, those being easy, medium, and hard. The higher the difficulty, the more rewards you get and the less lives and time you have, which means it's best to go into temples with other players so that you can each complete different rooms and beat the temple much quicker. Once the timer goes out, instead of instantly losing, the gem keeper spawns in, which will fly around certain parts of the map and kill anyone it comes in contact with. You can tell where it's active by if the torches in the room are purple instead of the usual orange. The game has a decent selection of maps for you to choose from, and each of the rooms are randomized, so no 2 maps will be the exact same. You can also tell which rooms have been completed by if the entrance to them is still lit up or if it's hollowed out. The rooms aren't crazy difficult, you won't be doing truss flicks and wall hops, but they provide a decent challenge. Also, once you complete a room, done by collecting the relic at the end, you have to traverse all the way back as well, so you're encouraged to split up and have each of your teammates complete different rooms at a time. On easy difficulty, you can intentionally die to get back to the start of a room after collecting a relic, but on medium, you'll only be able to do it 2 or 3 times maximum, and on hard, you won't be able to do it at all since you only have 1 life. This game is best played with other players as it allows you to reasonably complete every room before the gem keeper spawns on any difficulty other than easy, though do know that if one person escapes, not everyone escapes. This game is pretty fun, but I think what it needs most is more variety and more content. I think I've totaled an hour on this game and it feels like I've seen most of what this game has to offer. All of the maps feel the exact same in looks and tone, with maybe a few that stand out. They all have that orange torch lighting in the same colors. This could be fixed with as little as some somewhat different lighting and colors. I'm not a fan of how some of them feel like they're just better. Like how some of them are basically just one big straight line of rooms for you to clear, with no splitting paths or anything whatsoever. It also feels like I've seen every room in this game other than maybe a select few. I think having some sort of system to spice up what's already in the game, like modifiers or something like deep dives from Deep Rock Galactic to challenge players with more of a test of endurance could be interesting. As much as I enjoy this game, I can see it getting stale quite quick. And I'm sure that's why the game gets barely any players despite having 17 million visits and no meaningful updates whatsoever. That's really all I have to say about Temple Thieves, so let's move on to the last game of this video. Blockate is quite a unique case. It's a lot like Retro Studio in that the game is basically its own ecosystem with its own currency, tools, and slightly different physics. However, that's basically where the similarity between the two end. Of course, I should start by explaining what Blockate actually is. Blockate is a game where you can build various worlds to share with others or play worlds made by others. Every world is made up of various blocks, wedges, and other such things, and the worlds are built with a kind of tile system. So every world has that Blockate trademark feel to it that makes them immediately recognizable as being from, you know, Blockate. The creation tools are quite limited, but also quite simple, lowering the bar for entry, though it's still free enough that people can still make cool shit as long as they're creative. I'll touch more on this later. There are many types of worlds you can find in Blockate, such as obbies, adventure maps, egg hunts, murder mystery games, showcases, and even stuff such as Undertale-esque RPGs and IQ tests, all of which are made by various users of Blockate, probably. Where this game really shines, however, is in its events. Currently, at the time of me editing this video, a summer 2023 event is active, featuring Luscious Shores as its kind of hub world. You set sail to go on an adventure only to have your boat destroyed and be cast away to Luscious Shores, a cursed island where you can only leave after completing 9 of the challenges to get their relics. Once you get all 9 relics, you may leave the island. You can also choose to stay a bit to interact with the citizens of Luscious Shores. The place is pretty nice for a cursed island, has a beautiful atmosphere and nice music. One of the first things you can do on the island is get 4 people, NPCs, not players, to help you out with your welcoming party. Doing so will reward you with a hat. However, the main attraction of the Summer 2023 event is the 9 challenges that Luscious Shores has to offer. Each of them are entirely different worlds made by other people within the Blockate community, basically making the event one big collab between creators. One of my favorites, and the first one I played, was Cold Carnage, which is literally just a Pizza Tower clone. You only need to complete 3 levels to beat the boss and collect the relic, but it's still quite a lot of fun, despite its short length. Enough about the summer event though, this is about Blockade as a whole. You may have noticed that I mentioned hats earlier. That's because Blockade has its own hats which can be unlocked through events and crates. Crates are bought with the game's premium currency, Blux. Yeah, this game needs some sort of monetization system. You gotta make money somehow. Blux is also used to give a user more world slots since you can only have 1 world by default. Even though Blockate's creation tools are quite limited, just look at literally any game, they're also simple to use, allowing people who don't have as much coding or studio knowledge to still make cool stuff. Now, what I'm about to say may come off as mental gymnastics, but I think having these games in a closed ecosystem rather than the vast expanse of regular Roblox makes it a lot easier for simple games like these to thrive. And honestly, I'd much rather play someone's Blockade adventure map than something like Those Who Remain, even if Those Who Remain is technically higher quality. Don't get me wrong either, I'm not saying there's no high quality stuff in Blockade, just look at this from the Egg Hunt from a bit ago, or this from Luscious Shores. Ignore my shirt. Blockade isn't made for big blockbuster games, at least by Roblox's standards, like Phantom Forces, but instead for smaller, more simpler games, and that's perfectly fine. It does its job well. I think if you guys were to play any of the free games here, please do. The one you should check out first is Blockade, though the other 2 aren't half bad either. Why else would they be in this video? It's not like I've played games I dislike or games that are literally unable to be played within the series before. Nope. Not once. Ever. In the history of this channel. Anyways, this is usually where I'd end the video before someone calls me out for my